Imagine this. Your bank balance has dropped to zero, your secret data has been wiped out from servers, stock prices are going crazy, trains aren't running because the control rooms don't work, airports are not operating because their computers have been knocked out, you can't drive anywhere because the traffic lights are stuck on red, there's no internet because power routers have been destabilized. Within a matter of hours, your entire country plunges into chaos and you don't even know who's behind it. This is not the story of a movie or a possibility in the distant future. This could happen today in real life. The question is, how are we going to stop it? Hello and welcome to Gravitas Plus. I'm Palki Sharma Upadhyay. On the 4th of July, as America celebrated independence, a cyber criminal gang was on a hacking spree. It infiltrated a Florida-based IT firm and launched a ransomware attack. The hackers stole troves of data and demanded $70 million in return. The victims included more than 1,500 organizations around the world, government agencies, small businesses, banks, supermarkets, even schools. It's been called the biggest ransomware attack on record.
The attack over the weekend underscores the need for companies and government agencies as well to focus on improving cybersecurity.
Who was behind this attack? The cybersecurity community says it could be REvil, a group of hackers that was also behind the SolarWinds hack of 2020. That's when a Trojan horse exploited the software of 3 US firms, Microsoft, SolarWinds, and VMware. What happened next? It stole the data of some of the biggest organizations in the world: NASA, NATO, the European Parliament, the British government, the US Treasury Department, the US Telecom Department, and the Department of Commerce. Who exactly were these hackers? Well, no one knows. Some say they're from China, some others say they're from Russia. Their identity remains a mystery. What does all of this tell you? That the world is entering a new age of warfare, one that could change everything that we know about human conflict. They call it cyber warfare. A cyber war is a war fought through computers. It doesn't involve armies. It doesn't have clear rules. It progresses at a very fast pace. A cyber war can be fought in various ways: economic, social, cultural, military. 90% of cyber attacks are economic in nature, targeting banks. North Korea has been at it for a while now. It apparently has a team dedicated to robbing banks, the Beagle Boys. Since 2015, they've stolen from at least 30 countries. In 2016, they stole $81 million from the Bank of Bangladesh. In 2018, they stole 805 million rupees from India's Cosmos Bank, based in Pune. Cyber wars are launched for money, also for power through propaganda, misleading the public, sowing disinformation, the kind of cyber warfare that Russians are said to have aced. They've been accused of meddling in the 2016 US presidential election, of manipulating voter database, hacking the campaign of presidential candidates, spreading propaganda on social media. Most of these are still accusations. The Russian president says he's still waiting for America to provide evidence.
Ну, мы хорошо знаем, нас в чем-то только не обвиняли, в вмешательстве в выборы, еще там кибератаках и так далее. Причем ни одного раза не удосужились предъявить какие-то доказательства. Просто голословное обвинение. Я удивлен, почему.
Number 3. Intellectual property rights. This is another big arena of cyber wars. The country acing it is China. In April this year, a network of suspected Chinese hacking groups carried out a cyber attack on Microsoft emails of at least 30,000 American organizations. It's not clear how much data and ideas they stole. And then we have military attacks, the most potent threat. This includes espionage, corrupting information, disrupting military programs, controlling command rooms. Now, most of us tend to think of Russia and China when we think of such attacks. No one ever thinks of America, probably because the Americans are good at PR, always portraying themselves as the good guys. But Washington's capabilities in carrying out cyber strikes are unparalleled. Have you ever heard of Stuxnet? It was a computer worm detected in 2010. This worm almost crippled Iran's nuclear program. It was a marksman's job. The worm was introduced into an Iranian power station through a USB flash drive. It then spread across the nuclear network, explored it, and looked for weaknesses. Once it found them, the worm altered how the key systems operated, leading to the failure of critical components. How much damage did it cause? Quite a lot. It damaged at least 984 of Iran's uranium-enriching centrifuges or machines. By current estimates, this has led to a 30% decrease in Iran's uranium enrichment efficiency. Who was behind this worm attack? It was said to be the handiwork of the CIA and Mossad, Israel's intelligence agency. Says who? Iran and Edward Snowden. It gets more interesting. Let me show you some images. They're from places that you may have never heard of. This is Flying Dales in England's North York Moors. It's an Air Force station that has no planes at all. This building that you see, they call it the Pyramid. It's actually a giant radar. There's something similar miles away in Alaska, an Air Force base, again with no airplanes. There's another one located far in the south at Beagle, a small town in the deserts of California. One in Cape Cod, Massachusetts, an empty Air Force base hidden in the forests. And yet another one in the frozen north of Greenland, an Air Force base that has no airplanes or forces. What exactly are these installations? They're all part of America's early warning system, radars built to detect attacks on America and its allies. They can stop incoming nuclear missiles with the help of dedicated satellites in space. You can call it the nervous system of American defense. In January 2020, after the death of Iranian General Qasem Soleimani, Iran launched a dozen missiles at US military bases in Iraq, a dozen missiles, and yet the damage was minimal. The US Space Force confirmed that it was this system which helped them counter the attack. The system worked as intended. But given the technological advancements in today's world, imagine if this system were to be hacked. It's going to be a nightmare scenario. Not only will it leave America's defense infrastructure blind, it might push the entire world into chaos. According to America's latest nuclear posture review, which is basically an instruction manual of its weapons, these radars are so crucial that if they get attacked, America would respond by using nuclear weapons. And this is the reality of cyber warfare, where one cyber intrusion can set off a terrifying chain of events, where one escalation can evolve into something apocalyptic. The warnings of such doomsday scenarios have been there for quite some time. In 2013, Iranian hackers infiltrated the control system of a dam near New York City. The investigators described the hack as just the tip of the iceberg. They said the next target was a much larger dam in Oregon. Then in December 2015, the world witnessed its first power outage due to a cyber attack. Hackers compromised the systems of 3 energy companies in Ukraine, leaving 230,000 people without electricity for 6 hours. In May 2021, there was a cyber attack on America's largest pipeline system, the Colonial Pipeline. It forced the company to shut down operations and freeze its systems. It took 3 days to restore the pipeline, driving gas prices to their highest level in 3 years. These are all indications. The age of cyber warfare is upon us. It's wide-ranging, cheap, and anonymous, and that makes it hard to combat. It can result in the collapse of supply chains, markets, even governments. Basically, anything with an internet interface is at risk now. We'd like to believe that it's the government's job to protect us. But this is an undeclared war against an invisible enemy. So you have to be on your guard as much as your security agencies. How do you do that? 8 simple steps, we are told. Use secure internet connections. Check links before clicking them. Keep your system software strong and up to date. If your device is connected to your office network, ensure endpoint protection. Install a firewall to block any attacks. Back up your data. You never know when you might lose it. And above all, control access to your systems. Don't let people plug in random chips and drives. This is basic, and in most cases, this should help. On a bigger level, governments need to put safeguards in place. Cyber warfare cannot remain an unregulated affair. We have nuclear conventions and treaties. Now, cyber is the new nuclear, so we need regulation. Pledges from governments to not promote or harbor cyber mercenaries. It won't happen in a hurry because it won't suit these governments. But the effort must begin for the sake of all of us.